Did you understand you're charged with the offense of possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, 4 grams to 200 grams? That's a second-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand? According to the plea bargain agreement, your punishment is to be assessed at 5 years in the prison. There's a $1,200 fine that is to be probated. There are no applications for deferred adjudication. State recommends community supervision. And there's restitution of $57 to SAPD for lab testing. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense, is that the plea?
It is, Your Honor. I'd like to address it. Well, if I may.
Yes.
Judge, this young man, he's 43 years of age, he's from Savannah, Texas, has a GED. He was in San Antonio. He's been diagnosed and is under medical care for schizoaffective. In addition to other ailments, he's been taking some pretty strong medication. Currently, you would reside at Haven for Hope. They have a Center for Healthcare or CHCS program for your diagnosis, which you've been participating.
Yes, sir.
He would like to return to that, Judge.
Okay.
And for that reason, that's why the fine is probated. He had a commercial driver's license, but due to his illness, you're not able to keep the commercial driver's license. He's looking for jobs now, but Haven for Hope help him with that. So he's in the program.
Okay. And is that the plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Showing court is finding there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
We made it.
All right, Mr. Stillman, do you have any children?
No.
All right. Do you have any family here or no? Where's all of your family? All right. Do you want to go back there or do you want to stay here?
Eventually, after this is cleared up.
Okay, because if you want, your probation can be transferred there.
Later on in the probationary period, possibly.
Okay,
Because right now, separation of issues and family will be more appropriate.
all right. The court is going to sentence you to 5 years probation. Oops, I'm sorry, 5 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 5 years. Mr. Stillman, is there anything else you need from the court in order to be successful?
And I don't believe-
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Stillman.
Hardship supervisor. Just really excited for that.
Well, I tell you what, Mr. Stillman, just make sure you do everything else that's on probation. I always work with people with regards to fees. That's never held anybody back from being successful. All right, thank you. And Mr. Wood, always a pleasure to see
Thank
you.
you, Judge. You as well. Thank you.
All right, here, thank you. Are you the same Hillary Matthews Stillman who was placed on community supervision for the offense of possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, 4 grams to 200 grams on October 25th, 2022 for a term of 5 years? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And state, it's the court's understanding that there is only one violation in the motion? I see that violation is a long violation to read. Defense, did you read the entire violation of condition number 44 to your client?
We did, Your Honor. We went over that, and we're going to be pleading true with an explanation.
All right. Any objection to the state just naming the condition as violation of condition number 4 as opposed to reading out the entire paragraph?
None, Your Honor.
All right, state,
Violated condition number 44, Your Honor.
how do you plead to that? True or not true?
True.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 44, the court could find it true, grant the motion, and sentence you up to 5 years in the prison?
Yes, ma'am.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition 44?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find violation of condition number 44 true. Is there a proposed agreement?
No, there's
All right. State, what are you requesting? All
revocation.
right, defense?
Your Honor, and we understand the state's position on revocation. Mr. Steelman already has a plan in place should the court revoke his community supervision for him to get back on his feet once he's released from prison. He was hoping for a more constructive rehabilitation environment with the safe P. That was his mental health and physical health were not addressed properly. And he's currently being medicated for his mental illnesses. But we would ask the court to please impose the shortest sentence as possible for the court for revocation of this appropriate.
All right, Mr. Stillman, the court gives people chances in this court. If you have a drug or alcohol problem, if you have a mental health issue, the court gives that and tries to give that, but also protect the community. It shows in violation of number 44 that I recommended you for treatment and 2 times you refused to sign that. The court, as previously stated, is finding violation of condition number 44 true. Court will sentence you to 5 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's a $1,200 fine. Time and money were run concurrent. Did you pay the $57 to Bear County for drug testing?
I have not been yet. I've
All
not
right.
been out yet.
So there's to be $57 restitution to the Bear County Crime Lab. If you would like, I could recommend the therapeutic community for you at the prison. I have no control over them placing you in that program. It does not increase the length of time that you're in the program. Do you wish to be considered for therapeutic community?
Please.
All right. And I'll request the therapeutic community. Going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This was not a plea bargaining agreement. You have a limited right to appeal. That right to appeal is as it relates to the allegations in the motion, not the fact that you were on community supervision. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Good luck to you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Defense has filed a motion for early termination. State, did you have a chance to review the motion?
I did review it briefly. Your Honor.
All right. Do you have any objections to the motion?
Yes, Your Honor, we're opposed to it.
All right. Defense, do you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor, just argument.
All right. Probation. Can you give the court probation's recommendation?
There is no opposition.
All right. Defense, I'll hear your argument.
Thank you, Judge. So as far as I have been made aware from probation and from Mr. Garley, he has completed all terms of his probation with the exception of the completion of his term limited, including but not limited to classes, community service. He's paid all of his fines, court costs, has checked in when requested or required. The only thing remaining at this point in time is for Mr. Garley to finish his remaining term. He was sentenced to a 2-year deferred term back in March of last year. So he's completed just a little over a year at this point in time. My understanding, he's been a model probationer. I worked with him in the underlying case as well. He's always been very prompt for court. Very respectful as well to me. I believe that at this point in time, Mr. Garley has proven himself to the court that he is ready, has taken responsibility for this cause, is ready to move past and move forward. And we're requesting that this time that the court grant his early termination.
All right. Anything you wish to say?
No, ma'am, I'm just ready to put this behind me.
All right. I think you should probably say something because honestly, I'm leaning towards not early termination. I've read the facts of the case and I'm trying to figure out what was going through your thought process at that time. That's what I want to know.
Just,
Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Charles Garley,
All right, what have you learned?
keep my hands to myself and just to be a model citizen.
All right, so why did this happen? What was going through your mind? Because it appears that the officer was there for a disturbance.
I was not aware of that. I opened the door and I know the police were there and they barged into my home and I was trying to defend myself.
Well, what I'm reading in STIPs, and people correct me if I'm wrong, they come because there's a disturbance. There are 3 other people there, including you, civilians. You have a gun, according to the report, at your side.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the other civilians, because the officer asked you to put the gun down, you wouldn't. One of the other civilians there took the gun from you. So that diffused that situation. And then the officer was asking to talk to you and step outside. And then according to the STIPs, it says that you were swinging on the officer.
No, ma'am. I was not aware the officers were there. I was actually in shock that when I opened the door, guns were pointed at me. The reason my gun was out because somebody was in my home at the time that I did not want there. I asked them to leave. They did not leave. When, again, nobody in the house called the police. I think the disturbance was me trying to get that person to leave out of my home. When I opened the door, I didn't hear any knocking. I opened the door to let that person out of my home. And that's when the police were there. And I had my pistol pointed down. And that's when the officers pulled out their weapons on me. And I was in shock because I didn't know anybody was outside of my door. There was no knocking or anything. I had opened the door myself to let that person out.
Okay. So you open the door, you let the person out.
No, he did not leave. I opened the door to get him out. Like,
Okay.
Like he needs to leave. And that's when officers were there. And I had no idea they were there. So I was in shock because guns were pointed at me. And that's the first time I've ever had guns pointed at me. So I was in shock.
But first time guns pointed at you by officers?
Not anybody.
Okay. Any other questions?
I guess I would have a question, Your Honor, just to clarify, because you did say something and I just want to, I guess, clarify for the court about the facts of what had occurred, if that's okay.
I'm sorry?
I said, I do have a couple questions just to clarify about the facts of what
Sure.
occurred, if that's okay with the court.
Yes.
So the judge stated that the officers were asking you to come out, but is that correct?
No, sir.
When they had drawn their weapons on you and then you were at some point you were disarmed, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then did the officers ask you to step out or did they enter your home?
They entered my home.
Okay. And at that point in time, is that when they tried to detain you?
Yes, sir.
And then that's when the physical dispute happened between you and the officers?
Yes, sir.
But you have taken responsibility for those actions back in March of last year, right? So you do understand that the way that things occurred between you and the officers at that point in time was unlawful.
Yes, sir.
And you understand. Do you understand and can you explain to the court how that probably should have played out?
I should have just complied and put my hands on my back.
I no further questions.
Any questions? All right, let me just tell you what I have in the steps here. And if there are some corrections, let me know, but this is what you all stipulated to. P1 knocked on the door. His sister stepped out and explained there had been an argument between her and you. P2 stated she was getting her stuff with the help of her family and that she didn't require the police to calm you down. While speaking to P2, I could hear P1 and S1 exchanging words to each other. When myself and the officer looked through the open door into the apartment, I could clearly see a silver handgun in the right hand of you. Myself and the officer both drew our firearms from our holsters and commanded the arrested person, well, S1, to drop his firearm. You ignored our commands. After commanding you a few more times to drop the weapon, then P2 reached over and swatted it out of your hand. At this time, we entered the apartment and stated to you he was being detained due to the nature at which he was displaying the handgun and the disturbance that had been occurring. You physically tried to close the front door on us and then physically resisted arrest by pulling away and pushing against both officers. We ended up pushing you onto the sofa, at which time you began to strike out at the officers. It says you were punching wildly and punched me once on the upper left side of my cheek during the confrontation, causing pain and some redness. I used physical force in order to gain control from you, including multiple closed fist strikes to the right side of the face. After being struck by myself and tased, eventually you were placed in handcuffs. So is there something that is wrong about that?
The only thing wrong with that is I didn't throw the first punch. When I was thrown on the couch, the officer punched me in the face. And
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said I did not throw the first punch. When I was thrown on the couch, the officer punched me in my face, and that's when I felt the need to defend myself.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Nothing further.
All right, if you're drug tested today, what are the results going to be?
So,
All right, give me a UA. All right, the court heard previous arguments from, I believe, Mr. Wilkins. And they've informed me that your UA was negative. All right, so here's the thing. Sometimes on probation, people need to do the full term of their probation because it's the nature of the offense and that's what it is. And then other times you have people who've completed everything. And probation is telling me they completed everything and they come to court, they UA, they test negative. It appears that they've got their life in order. Probation is overworked and underpaid. And they have a lot of people on their list of people to see and what to do with them. Your counsel informed me that now you're only reporting, I think, once every 3 months. Is that correct? All right. So that tells me that probation feels that you've successfully completed everything. You've internalized what you did and we won't see you here anymore. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So the court will grant your application for early termination. Is there anything else from either side?
Nothing to say, not from the council, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we can go off the record. Hey, don't come back here for nonsense. When people knock at your door, whether you think they should be there or not, that's stuff that you handle in the court system. You understand?
Yes.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.